Good evening, fuckers. We are back with the next Train Simulator Classic request video, and for this one we are heading back to Scotland because we've had plenty of really good scenic routes while we are in and around Scotland, and I thought it was time to revisit a Scottish route that has not appeared all that much in this playlist, despite the fact that it's in some ways is one of the most scenic routes that I've got. At least it is in terms of man-made scenery rather than natural. The natural scenery is still great, but it's not the West Highlands, that's for sure. So yeah, we are on the Scottish East Coast Main Line, and we are starting at Edinburgh Waverley, with our destination being Dundee. So that means we're going to be following the 5 circle line actually for a fair bit, but yeah, we leave Edinburgh, we are going over the Forth Bridge onto the circle line. We go via Kirkcaldy, so we're taking the most scenic route on the 5 circle line. We then leave that, go through some more fantastic scenery until we reach Tay, the Tay River. This is probably, I think it's the anyway, well, yeah, we reached the Bridge of Tay anyway, another quite impressive engineering feat. Yeah, then head into Dundee itself. Now, our train is a GBR Freight Class 50. I think it's one of the oldest locos that GBR Freight use. But yeah, they do use them. You know, the Class 50s are still going strong in well, certainly as far as freight services are concerned. And we've actually got quite an unusual consist here. We have 10 motor rail trailers. Now, there is no way this consist would ever have appeared in real life. It's basically just me going a bit mad using these motor rail, I'll call them freight wagons. I mean, you'll see in a sec what they are really all about. But yeah, there's no way that this consist would ever actually appear on the rail network of this country anywhere. As for the specifics, because of the scenery that we are going to be well, seeing, I've gone with summer and clear, and it is 1 PM, so we should get some pretty good sights. The old Class 50 will certainly be providing some pretty good sights for rail enthusiasts as well. But anyway, that is the setup. Let's get this up and running. Okay, here we are in our Class 50. Now, got a little bit to do when it comes to the setup of this thing. It's slightly more involved than usual. So we'll get the master key on, and we will set the reverser into forward. But you'll notice that the AWS test has not actually started yet. And that is because we need to get into the engine room and activate the change end. So while we are here, I'm not going to do it, but we could also change the brake types and the brake timings. So currently we are going to be using the air brakes, not the vacuum brakes. Air brakes are much better, and it's set to passenger timings, not goods timings. Even though this is technically a freight service, It's a freight service that was usually reserved for passenger runs, so we don't need to change it to yeah, the actual passenger service, or yes, change it to a just intrigued as to what that train is. It's a 170, I think. But yeah, we don't need to change the brake timings to goods. We can keep it on passenger. Right, let's carry on with the setup here. Get the we want the route indicator on. We want tail lights off. That's all we need there. Headlights on, and that I think is all the lights sorted out. No, it isn't. Instrument lights on. That is the lights all sorted. So here is our GBR Freight liveried Class 50. Looks fantastic. And here are our motor rail wagons. So the motor rail service is, I mean, it's no longer in operation, but the whole idea of it was you were going to be taking, like, you know, a long distance intercity service. So it would, you know, the train would have to passenger coaches as normal, and at the back there would be one, maybe two of these motor rail cars here, and you literally just drove your car onto here. It would be fastened down, so that then when you got to you know, your destination, your car would be there with you, and then you could just use that to drive around. Now, if you're thinking that sounds like a bit of a waste of time, well, that's one of the reasons why it's no longer a service that's available. It was pretty expensive. It wasn't hugely popular. A lot of people didn't really see the point of it. But nevertheless, it was around for a bit. And so you would normally have like one or two of these cars at the rear of your passenger train. I've got 10 of them forming the entire train. So yeah, so it is a bit of a ridiculous setup. Now, speaking of ridiculous setups, I also still need to do a couple of bits here in order to get the brakes off. I think we are now pretty much all set. Now, the Class 50 is known as being the dirtiest train that is still in operation, insofar as its emissions. So it'd be interesting to see if Armstrong Powerhouse have taken that into account when it comes to the amount of clag that we are going to be seeing off this thing as we get underway. So we will start with the exterior view. So Dundee, 59.72 miles away. Let's get underway. Well, looks pretty good to me. Yeah, I'd say they got that right. So we're in a 20 mph zone here, so we don't want to be going too mad. Thing. There we go. So for the sake of this particular run, let's say you could certainly you know, hire a GVR freight service for private use. So we pass this class 170 DMU. So yeah, someone has hired this thing. They needed to get a load of cars transported. There were none of the standard car transporter wagons available, so we've had to use some old old motor rail cars to get this thing get this lot shifted. 40 cars needing transportation up to either some sort of vintage car show. As much as it pains me to say it, cars from the 80s are now considered vintage, and yeah, so that's how they're all getting there. I didn't say it was a good sort of scenario I'd come up with, I just said it was one. So obviously we will not be making any stops along the way, which is a bit of a shame, but there you go. So here we are at Edinburgh Haymarket. We are now entering a 90 mph zone, so once we are there we can really get the old thrash going. Here we go. So, as always, pointing out Murrayfield Rugby Stadium, which we are approaching. I think that is the largest sports stadium in Scotland. Don't quote me on that, but I'm sure I read that somewhere. Now, after all the setting up that was done, yeah, the rest of the actual drive is relatively straightforward. So it's the initial setting up of the loco that has the most of. It's a bit involved, you know. Once you've done it, it's pretty much back to you know, the regular sort of thing as far as actually driving this thing. So while we are on this run, we talked a little bit about the motor rail service. I can't remember exactly when it ended. I think it was something like 1987. I think it stopped, and the only reason it stopped is, like I say, it just wasn't a service that was used all that much. A lot of people just really didn't see the point. So that's for our 75 mph change as we come off the main line. So that line, yeah, carries on to Glasgow. are now heading northwards. Back into a 90 zone again. So there is a Loco DLC available from Dovetail Games. It's been on Steam for quite a while, and it's the DP1. Now, those of you who are not familiar with it, as we go through South Dial Station, going through a good rate and all. This is a fairly light freight train, so I think we're going to be fine going at this sort of speed. So yeah, anyway, DP1. So for those of you who don't know, yeah, DP1 stands for diseased pricks, and not the sort of thing you'd really want to have anything to do with. In other circles, it did also stand for design prototype. And DP1 was, as we are now on a 1 in 118 uphill gradient, which is slowing us down despite being at full throttle. But yeah, DP1 was the prototype of the Class 55, better known as the Deltic. And when the Deltic actually entered production, and thankfully they changed a fair bit of it. It didn't look as god-awfully American as the prototype. I really don't like DP1. I hate the very American styling of it. This is now 1 in 79 uphill. It's quite a steep climb, this. No wonder our speed is coming down. So we have a speed reduction of down to 75 coming up, but yeah, we got nothing to worry about as far as speeding there. So yeah, anyway, so DP1 became the Deltic, and the Deltics were pretty much ruling the entire East Coast main line. So then British Railways came up with DP2. What is Concorde doing here? Concorde never landed at that's Edinburgh Airport. Yeah, Concorde never landed here. So that bridge has a 75 mph speed limit, but yeah, we had no problems in that regard. We had lost a fair bit of speed. So anyway, yes, after the success of the DP1, which became the Deltic, we had DP2. Now DP2 was a testbed for a different engine. It used the same body shell as the Class 55 Deltics. Now it was obviously down on power compared to the Deltics that were running. I mean, it was still, you know, fairly good. It was generating, I think, just over 3,000 horsepower. So yes, it was down on power compared to the 55 Deltics, but it wasn't bad. And yeah, so DP2 was running pretty well. In fact, the only reason it stopped running is because it was involved in an accident and it was damaged to such an extent that it would have cost too much to repair it. So they basically got rid of it. But it had already succeeded in proving its point, which was that the engine it was testing, it's a 158, the engine it was testing had proven itself. It was absolutely fine. It was a great engine. So in effect, DP1 did get rebuilt because it went into production and it became the Class 50. So here we are going through Dalmeny Station. And our approach to the Forth Bridge. Yeah, for some reason, Just Trains thought that it would be a great idea to have it really sort of like echoing really loudly as we go over the Forth Bridge. It's let's just say it's a decision that I don't entirely understand. But I mean, I know I say this every single time we go over this bridge, whether it's on this route DLC or the Fife Circle Line one, but what a sight. I mean, it's just fantastic. And I think they've done such a great job of the rendering of it. Honestly, don't know which one is better, this one or the rendering of it in the Fife Circle Line DLC. I mean, at least with the Fife Circle Line one, you haven't got this really loud echoing as we are going over it, but I mean, it still looks absolutely glorious. So here we are, and here is our approach to North Queensferry Station. We're on quite a steep downhill gradient once we come out of here. 1 in 75. So we are going to be picking up speed. We are in a 60 mph zone, but not for very long. We are soon in a 40 mph zone while we are still on this steep 1 in 73 downhill gradient. So yeah, we need to continue braking. We'll try and get our speed down below 40 before we hit that 40 mph zone. There we go, right, we're okay. So it's this somewhat weak bridge, I think, that is the reason for it. We'll let the gradient continue to accelerate us. We have another 158 coming along. And the other end of this tunnel that's coming up, we have a 30 mph zone as we approach Inverkeithing station. So yeah, combination of the downhill gradient and the brakes I mean, we are using the better brakes for this loco, but as is often the case with these earlier locos, the brakes were better the faster we were going. As you slow down, they become less and less effective, and we were only doing, you know, just over 30 mph there. So we're now on a 1 in 37 downhill. This is quite a steep one, and we were too slow. Just started to yeah, started speeding there. So here is Inverkeithing. I don't know if it's Inverkeithing or Keating, but it's one of the two anyway. So let's smoke everyone out here. I love the amount of clag that comes off this thing. They've got it absolutely spot on. This thing did not generate a hell of a lot of it. So here is the start of the 5 circle line. So yeah, we are taking the anti-clockwise route, which is by far the more scenic route. About to enter a 65 zone. And once we're in that, I'll give it some full throttle. There we are. Wasn't expecting to hear that. So approaching Dalgety Bay Station. Yep, there we are. So entering the 75 zone. There we go. Sure, it won't surprise too many to hear that although the Class 50 is a diesel loco, is, you know, specifically it's a diesel electric. I think that's, yeah, so that's not going to surprise anybody. Right, we've got a bit of a hefty speed decrease coming up here, down to 50. As we approach Aberdeen. But certainly see that there's no sort of like no risk of us being, you know, being battered from the motor rail wagons behind us, and risking of derailing, because they were designed to you know, run on the back of passenger services. So that's why we didn't need to alter the brake timings so that they were set for goods. We've kept it at passenger settings, and it's been absolutely fine, no problems at all. So here is Edinburgh. So we are still on the Fife Circle line. Also start speeding up again, now back in the 65 zone. Combination of yeah, Scottish terrain and the coastline. Fantastic scenic route. Yeah, we have a real hefty speed reduction coming up, down to 35, and we are approaching the station Burntisland, and I found out at long last that, yeah, it is pronounced Burntisland, not Burnt Island. Certainly can't deny that the vegetation assets on Just Trains routes just look so much better than the Dovetail Games ones. So I slowed down a bit early. We've just had the alert there for the 35 mph section, but I'm already down to 35. In fact, we're well below that now. So that looks like, see, I'm not sure what that was. That wasn't a, it didn't look like a 170. Could have been a 334. I do have 334s in the, for this game now. Didn't look like a 334, I must admit, but nevertheless, it might have been. Get a little bit of speed up. We have dropped a bit below the 35 limit. So we are now in the 35 zone. The dock area. So here is Burntisland station. I a lot more detail here than there is in the 5 circle line one. We've got the lighthouse there and everything else. Right. Entering the 50 zone, there we are. How about that? We've got the real sort of rugged terrain there, and the coast. It really has got a bit of everything here. I think some of you may be seeing now why I think this is certainly up there among the most scenic routes in the game. We do have a speed decrease coming up as we enter a tunnel. We need to get down to 30 mph. And Kinghorn is the next station we'll be going through. I think it's time to start braking a little. Speed is really coming down. I've just noticed, yeah, 1 in 109 uphill climb. So here we are in the 30 zone. The ground has leveled out now. We should enter the 45 zone just as we are going through Kinghorn station. Yep, there we are. Smoke the place out. So we are entering a 65 zone. I don't think we're going to be speeding as we go through there. No, we weren't. So I think the next station is Kirkcaldy itself. So a big old cargo ship out there. We have quite a hefty downhill gradient coming up here. I may need to completely throttle down and just let gravity take over there. Yep, Kirkcaldy is the next station. Let's throttle down. We'll have gravity take us to the 5 mph that we can still gain before we're speeding. Hopefully we'll be off this downhill section, bloody 1 in 62, and into the 75 mph zone before we reach 65, but that does not look likely at the moment because we're gaining speed a lot faster than I thought we were going to. Okay, those brakes holding us there. As this is Kirkcaldy we're going through, is that Wraith Rovers ground we just passed? That football stadium. I'm sure it's them who play at Kirkcaldy. I'm not sure if there is a giant great cathedral here. I have actually been to Kirkcaldy a couple of times, but I don't remember anything about it. I was still at school the last time I was here, so... Now there was no sign of that 50 limit. It wasn't marked on the route display. Again, me being so reliant on the route display. So I thought we could still do 75 through there. Anyway, that was Kirkcaldy Station. So yeah, there's the start of the 75 zone. Now I can't remember if we turn off the 5 circle line before or after we are at the Glenross and Thornton station. So we are now definitely in the 75 zone. Max speed is even going up to 85 fairly soon. I'm not sure this loco can do 85. I can't see anywhere where it says what our max speed is, but hang on, wait a minute, yeah, we're in a class 50, of course we can do 85, this thing can do 100. Haven't used this view for a bit. In fact, we haven't used it at all in this run so far. So we are entering an 85 zone, and we are now in it, but we do have a 60 mph zone coming up. We need to shave off some of this speed. Right, what we've got coming up here, I'm pretty sure that was a 170. Right, so speed is now fine. Light aircraft going overhead. That could have been a Northlander. Okay, so we have turned off the 5 circle line now. So we are now on to the actual Scottish East Coast main line. Yeah. So we do not go through Glenross and Thornton station. Well, no, it's Glenross with Thornton, I think the station is called. Well, the station is actually in Thornton town. Glenross town is quite away from it. A good sort of like good 2, 3, 4 miles away. Right, so into a 75 zone again. Let's get our speed back up. So we are going through a fair bit of farmland here. So we have 60 mph limit coming up, and we're only just over that, so we haven't got to worry about braking for that just yet. We are picking up speed at a pretty good rate though. So alright, let's throttle down for a bit. So, fine for the 60 limit. We are approaching Markinch station. I suspect it's not actually pronounced Markinch, but that's what it looks like. So Not sure what river that is we're going over, but not doing. Here we are at yep, Market Station. Like everyone was sort of buried up to their waist in concrete, but we'll ignore that for now. Right, so we're back in an 85 zone. Really need to get some speed up again. Wasn't paying attention to the speed limit changes. Too busy taking in all the sights of the area. They really have done a great job on the whole sort of scenery around here. So as the speed decreased down to 75 coming up, we don't really need to worry too much about that. We're nowhere near 75 yet. So yeah, we can just continue accelerating to that. Relatively short section before we are able to go back up to 85. Or in our case, resume trying to get up to 85. There we are, we're now in the 75 zone. We are still accelerating or up to 75, so yeah, nothing to worry about. So, into the 85 zone. A lot of farmland around us here. So, speed reduction in 1.5 miles to 75, although, okay, it is because we're approaching a station, so the Lady Bank, we've got to slow down even more as we leave it. Start slowing for, really we're slowing for the 60 zone, the 75, yeah, we didn't need to do much. The sign that we just passed it would suggest that we needed to use the sander, but well, we haven't needed to. Gone well below the 60 zone, carried on braking far longer than was necessary. So, well, it just means we can smoke out everyone at Ladybank station. Here we go. Yeah, there we are, that was Ladybank. Not quite sure where that line was that we've just turned off, where that line would have gone on to. Possibly Perth. In fact, thinking about it, yeah, it must be. Anyway, we're now back in a 75 zone, so we can throttle right up again. We'll very soon be in another 85 zone. See if we can get up to that sort of speed. Dundee is now 20 miles away. We even have a 100 zone coming up. Now that's the max that, well, the max operational speed of this thing. I don't think we're going to get the chance to go actually up to 100. We'll certainly give it a shot though. Springfield station will, well, it will certainly have a fair bit of smoke left as we go through there, but we'll be going through as fast as we possibly can. We're still nowhere near 85, and yet here we are now entering the 100 zone. Look like we just passed a load of aircraft flying in formation. So here is Springfield. No sign of the Simpsons. Barely a sign of anyone. Doesn't look like the largest town in Scotland. We have a speed decrease coming up down to 75. I mean, we're barely doing over 75. I mean, the age of this thing, it's not surprising that its acceleration up to 100 is rather on the slow side. So next station, I'm guessing it's Cupar. I'm guessing that's how it's pronounced. So we get some braking in. Really, we need to be braking for this 55 zone as we are approaching Cooper station. I think we need to be braking a bit harder than this. We might just make it for the 60 zone. Yeah, we did, and I do mean just. But 55, I think we're going to, yeah. Especially as it came into effect even before the sign appeared. So anyway, this is Cooper station. Semaphore signals in operation around here. So entering a 65 zone. That's a I think that was a 220. We're now in an 85 zone. I didn't see anything indicating that we were in any sort of area with that line speed, but I'll certainly take it. Well, it really doesn't look like we're going to be getting anywhere near sort of 80, let alone above it, on this run. I mean, if we were in a faster accelerating train, then yeah, no problem, but we're not. And I mean, I've got no real problem with that. I am quite a fan of the Class 50, so yeah, it's slow acceleration rate. I can certainly live with it. So into the 70 zone. Let's try and get ourselves back up to 70, or maybe we shouldn't, because yeah, it's a further slow down to 55 coming up. So that's why that speed reduction. Now is it Lucas, Loicars, however the hell you pronounce that place? That's the reason for the slowdown. Get a bit of speed up. It's only 55 we've got to slow down to, not 50. There we are, so into the 55 zone. Tell you what, for a station that looks like it's right in the middle of nowhere, I mean clearly we can see a fair sized town there, but yeah, quite a nice nice station they got there. So entering the 75 zone again. We're also on a 1 in 57 uphill climb. Let's get some speed up. We've got to power up this thing. More semaphore signalling. It's now 1 in 46. Our speed is just coming down, even though we are at full throttle. Right, we are gaining speed now. 1 in 115. Right, now we're heading downhill. This will certainly help the acceleration. 1 in 133, but it looks like it's getting steeper as we go along. So it's leveled out here. So 1 in 101. on, so I'm going to have to throttle down a bit. So 65 speed limit coming up. That was definitely a 170 that went by. Now we're going uphill, but because we need to slow down to 65, it's not such a big deal. Looks like a fair sized mine there. Didn't need to even brake. Well, so we do have a 20 mph section coming up. I think that is the start of the Tay Bridge crossing. Or it could be the approach to it. Light aircraft coming along overhead. I think I'm braking a bit too quickly here. Yeah, so it is the start of the Tay Bridge. So once we're onto this reinforced section, we will be able to go up to 35. This goes back down to 25 again. There we go. Flashing yellow, so we will be going over points just as we approach Dundee station. Another 170 passing. I'm not sure what this particular platform here is for, but yeah, we're on a 1 in 80 downhill. Yellow is actually the last signal we will be passing as we approach the station, so yeah, that's why we have that yellow signal, even though we're like pretty much still half a mile away. Yeah, 1 in 35 downhill as we are approaching the station here. the entire train can get onto platform 4. There we are. And there we go. That was Edinburgh Waverley to Dundee in the Class 50 with our very weird consist of 10 motor rail, 10 motor rail wagons. That was a great drive. I do like the route. I really do like the route. It looks fantastic. It's a great one to, certainly a great one to drive either direction. And the Class 50 is such a great loco. It's only the third time it's appeared on this channel. Every time it's appeared, it's been because I've chosen it. No one seems to like the 50. I cannot for the life of me see why not. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that was a great one, that. Yeah, there we go. That brings this video to an end. Only 3 speeding errors. I'll say it's an okay run. But yeah, that brings this video to an end, and we will see you at the next one.